NASCAR is talking about some potentially significant changes to the schedule next season, and we also have a couple old fan favorite short tracks that might be getting a new lease on life pretty darn soon. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. A lot of news stories have come out over the last 2 days or so. Saved them all up. We're going to hit on all of them here in today's episode, so I'm really excited to get started. It's a Friday. Everything's feeling good right now. Let's keep these good vibes going. First bit of news. The TV ratings from this past weekend's Cup Series race at Las Vegas ended up seeing an 8% increase in total TV viewers, when, of course, compared to the Las Vegas race a year ago. Now, earlier this week, I reported that there was a 4% increase in the ratings side, a 2.9 this year versus a 2.8 last year. When they actually did the final reports, looked at all the final data, they determined the estimated number of viewers, we saw approximately 400,000 more viewers this year than we did last year. It turns out to be an 8% increase. So this is the first real ratings increase of the season. After the Daytona 500, overnight ratings were up, but then as the rest of the ratings came out, you know, Daytona 500 ended up breaking kind of even. Atlanta last week was slightly, I think it was 1% lower than last year. So Las Vegas is the first race to see an increase, a true increase in viewers this year when compared to last year, and boy, an 8% jump is significant. Clearly, at least some of the people who claimed they were never going to watch a race when the new Aero package was announced, clearly some of them weren't telling the truth, because at least a good handful of you guys must have tuned in to see what this race was going to be all about. Now, the real question will be whether or not the product we saw Sunday will keep some of those newer viewers around. Jeff Gluck, you know, very well known on Twitter, NASCAR reporter, runs his weekly "Was It a Good Race" poll, and as you can see here, 56% of fans responded positively to last weekend's Las Vegas race. The Las Vegas race a year ago saw like 35% positivity, so that's a pretty significant jump from year to year. So overall, it kind of actually matches my Groovy gauge. Remember, I gave it a 55 on the Groovy gauge. Pretty much sums up about how most NASCAR fans were thinking about this thing. Let's move on to another bit of news that came out earlier this week. The NASCAR Postseason Awards banquet will not be held in Las Vegas at the end of this year, the way it has for quite a few years now. Instead, they're moving that awards ceremony to Nashville, the Music City. This year, on December 5th, the NASCAR Awards show will, be in Nashville, which I think is a very good change in my opinion. Las Vegas is great. It's got the glitz, it's got the glamour, and you know, this event typically is more for the drivers and teams and crew guys and owners and everything, so you know, I understood why they kept it in Vegas for a while there. But this continues to echo Jim France's, you know, get back to basics philosophy now that he's in charge of the sport, going back to NASCAR's roots. Nashville is right there in the heart of NASCAR country, and while I know that this is just kind of a ceremony that a lot of fans probably don't really care about, it still is a nice gesture at least to show that, you know, NASCAR is going back to thinking about kind of their roots in a lot of ways. Over the last decade or two, NASCAR has gained a little bit more of a national audience, even almost a worldwide audience to some extent. But that being said, it's still nice that NASCAR focuses on, you know, that Carolina, Tennessee, that kind of area of the country. Still to this day, is still where most NASCAR fans live. And it also maybe begs the question, you know, we've heard reports in recent months that Nashville Fairgrounds, you know, the old short track over there, might be getting renovated, being worked on by the people over there at Speedway Motorsports in Bristol to try and maybe get that thing race ready again in the near future. If you ask me, this only adds to the legitimacy that Nashville Fairgrounds will likely get NASCAR races again in the next couple of years probably. I know the track has said they're hoping to get, you know, trucks or Xfinity or even Cup races at that track in the near future. With NASCAR clearly now focusing on that area more by moving the awards ceremony, I think that adds some legitimacy to it. That makes it look like NASCAR is really going to work with this track and really try to get Xfinity, trucks, and maybe even Cup Series racing over there by the mid-2020s, I would say. Probably not going to happen in the next year or two, but we might see trucks, Xfinity by the early 2020s and maybe Cup by the mid-2020s. Fans want more short tracks, and it sounds like NASCAR is actively trying to make that happen. Because announced this week, Nashville Fairgrounds is not the only historic short track that is getting kind of restored down in the South. Rockingham Speedway had a pretty big announcement just yesterday. NBC reported that The Rock is going to become a part of a new entertainment complex with an eventual return to racing. Over the next 2 years, the North Carolina governor plans on budgeting $8 million to help renovate that entire area, calling it the Rock Speedway and Entertainment Complex. Details of this budget say that for every $3 the government's going to spend, another dollar has to come from outside investors, which means the eventual budget for this project is going to end up being over $11 million. It's going to be all about renovating the grounds, the grandstands, you know, facilities, all that type of stuff to make the Rockingham Speedway once again suitable for major racing events, as well as things like concerts and other entertainment things as well. That's their plan. Now, North Carolina Speedway here, nicknamed The Rock, has not hosted a NASCAR National Series event since the Truck Series in 2012. The last time a Cup race was run at this racetrack was all the way back in 2004. Now, the article talks about how there's an eventual return to racing. There's no set deal in place for NASCAR to return anytime soon. Here's the actual quote that the Speedway gave out. Speedway owner Dan Levenheim said, "At this early juncture, all doors and paths are open and on the table. We are in discussions with NASCAR. We are in discussions for several events. At this point, unfortunately, I cannot be specific for what, when, and how." He then went on to say that, "I can say that racing will be an integral part of the Rock Entertainment Complex's future." They've already scheduled a pretty major music festival for over there by the racetrack, so it seems like this new entertainment complex is going to come to fruition. Whether or not we see NASCAR racing there in the near future remains to be seen, but it seems like both sides are hopeful they can make something happen. Now, much like the Nashville Fairgrounds rumors, this is a great thing. It's again showing how NASCAR, under the leadership of Jim France, is trying to go back to its core hardcore fan base. This track is located right there in North Carolina, like I just said, it's one of the major areas, major hotbeds for NASCAR fans. The track suffered from kind of lackluster attendance towards the end of its life, which is why the Cup Series and ultimately all of NASCAR left it. But now, with renovations and everything, I'm a firm believer this track, if it comes back to the NASCAR schedule, to the NASCAR circuit, I think it can be successful. And it's another short track, technically, so most fans want more of those. So very exciting news over there. The last big story I want to hit on, again, involves NASCAR and future scheduling. It was reported earlier this week that NASCAR might change the dates of their West Coast swing. Reported by Adam Stern here, you can see that NASCAR is considering for next year going straight into the West Coast swing following the Daytona 500, which would bump Atlanta further back in the schedule. One rumor I've heard, discussed by fans, I haven't really heard this from anywhere legitimate, but it's the idea of making Sonoma the second race of the season, basically swapping the Atlanta and Sonoma dates next year and putting Sonoma as the second race of the year, leading into the West Coast swing of Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Auto Club. I'm all for this move. I don't see how it would hurt NASCAR in any way. The weather at Atlanta the last couple of years during this time of year hasn't been great. So going straight from, Daytona, even if they just go straight to Las Vegas, I think it would be great for the sport. I think it's nice to kind of stay in those warm weather states out west over there during these cold months. Also, you visit, the NASCAR fans on the West Coast, right away. It's cool. Get them hyped. I also do think it would be kind of cool if we went to Sonoma, a road course, for the second race of the season. Remember, they tweeted this photo out a few weeks back during these winter months. Look how green. Look how green Sonoma looks. I've never seen the track look like that. That would be beautiful to go visit that, this time of year. So to start with a super speedway and then go straight to a road course, I think you'd make both types of NASCAR fans happy right there. The Sonoma thing really doesn't have any merit, but this other report here that they're switching up the West Coast swing, moving it up a week and starting it earlier in the year, seems to be legitimate, and I think it's something NASCAR should consider. Is it the best move? I don't know, but I don't think it's a bad move. I don't think it could hurt anything, and I don't think this is one move I think NASCAR could make that wouldn't piss off a lot of fans. So, in my opinion, go for it. Shake things up. But I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Do you think NASCAR should bump the West Coast swing up a week? Do you guys think it's perfect the way it is now? Do you want to see Sonoma early in the year? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Continue the conversation over there. Also, you can get your own Out of the Groove t-shirts if you want to support me, support the show. Those are down by the description. Also, down in the description, you can see the address to my P.O. box. If you want to send me some cool NASCAR stuff, I'll show it off and shout you out in an upcoming episode. And then, of course, a major thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters. The lifeblood of this show. Thank you, Michael Harrison, at GWizofTheStars, SelfishGifts.com, Mentally Defective, Cameron James, John Koblenz, Tim Shingen, Jason R. Long, Wesley Donaldson, Isaac Dennison, Mika Suzuki, iFantasyRace.com, and the rest of these amazing Patreon supporters. Thank you all so much for the support. You guys help me do this show week in, week out, and it's been a whole lot of fun. So thanks for the support, everyone. Couldn't do it without you. Next video will be after the ISM race in just a couple days. I'll have a video up shortly after the end of that one, reacting to the finish, reacting to what we see. It's exciting to see a race this weekend where the aero package won't be the first topic everyone wants to talk about. So I'm excited to watch it. Hopefully you guys are too. I'll see you guys after the race on Sunday. See ya, everyone.